Here's a roadmap of everything you need to know to make your first investment. From funding your account, where to park your idle cash to earn extra interest income, the different types of investment assets you can immediately start with, research and analysis, setting up a watch list, and finally making your first trade. Monitor it, sell it, and even withdraw your money to your bank account. But before we start, I'd like to thank Moomoo Malaysia for making this video possible for all of us. Their platform is packed with features to help you invest like a real pro. If you want exclusive rewards, sign up with my link down below and deposit with code Z11, that's Z11. So without further ado, we can dive right into the first step, funding your account. Now, in the Moomoo app, you can do that by heading to the Accounts tab and click on Deposit. There will be 3 methods for depositing. For me, I personally prefer FPX Express Deposit because it is very fast and simple, like checking out on your card on Shopee. Then select your bank and enter the amount you would love to deposit. And once you're done with that, first-time deposits usually take a few minutes, but after that, it's almost instant. And once your money is in the account, don't just let it sit there doing nothing. Park it in Cash Plus to earn around 3.5 to 5% annual interest, one of the best yields in Malaysia. Do check out this video where I've compared it against other money market funds. Now, go to Account, tap on Cash Plus, and then pick a fund for you to subscribe. Here's a pro tip for you. Activate Smart Save to automatically invest your idle cash into Cash Plus. That way, you can yield extra interest income before you buy any stocks. You don't have to worry about liquidity because it will automatically redeem the fund for your trades. I say it's something like Touch and Go Gold Plus, but for investing. Now, before you dive right into investing, ask yourself, are you investing for the short term, like 2 to 3 years, or longer, like 5 to 10 years? How much risk or volatility, ups and downs, can you handle? What do you want to achieve? Is it capital growth, which you can only realize when you sell them, or do you need passive dividend incomes? Answering all of this will naturally lead you to the right investment assets. The thumb rule is very simple: higher risk, higher reward, and vice versa. There's 3 main levels of risk tolerance: conservative, moderate, and aggressive. Here's a table that can give you a sense of the average historical returns that each asset has to offer you, and it goes without saying lah, past performance is no guarantee of future results. And I know some of the higher range numbers can seem very attractive, but it's important for me to remind you that for as high as they can grow, they can go the other way as well. So nothing is guaranteed over here. But one thing you can do to lower or even balance your investment risk is through something that we call diversification. Basically, spreading your money across various assets, usually of different risk levels. It can come in various forms of different weightage depending on your risk tolerance level, but generally, the idea is not to put all your eggs into one single basket. Now, for all intents and purposes, I personally think that stocks and ETFs offer the best balance between risk and reward, for which you can always scale higher or riskier as your investing experience grows over time. Now, the next thing every investor needs to understand when it comes to research is basically this diagram: top-down analysis. Starting with a country, zooming into a sector, then picking a strong company that you can understand, or at least have a conviction in its business model. Now, at the macro level, you need to find out which country has the best investment climate, which means an economy that supports free trade, is well regulated, has stable monetary policies, and most importantly, receives increased investments in innovative industries such as technology to drive the economy forward. Usually, there's also a few useful indicators that can help you with it, such as the GDP, short for Gross Domestic Product. Basically, it's a number to show how fast a country is growing, and we usually see its GDP growth quarter over quarter or year over year and analyze its trends through several quarters or even years. And needless to say, an uptrend indicates a growing economy and vice versa. Now, these economy indicators can all be found on the Moomoo app as well. Go to Market, choose MY, which stands for Malaysia, scroll down to the economic calendar, and you can find data like GDP, imports, exports, CPI, etc. And click it and you can even see all the historical data. And let's not forget about the country's political climate, be it its own political situation or political uncertainties caused by other countries. For example, the US tariffs announcement that turned the entire world upside down. Those are red flags and will generally turn foreign investors away. So ideally, we want to invest in countries where the politics are stable with minimal drama, because political risk is not quantifiable, and that's a bad thing for all investors. And aside from politics, the local currency of the market matters as well. Why? Because your investor asset might seem to be doing well until you convert it back to your currency, and then you factor in the currency depreciation. Then you will notice the net return is actually not as high as you thought. So once you have the ideal country in mind, the next step is comparing the different industries within that country. Basically, you want to find the industry that drives the country's economy the most. How to find out? On the Moomoo app, click on Market and then choose MY and scroll down to the heat map, and you will see green and red squares like this one. The size of the square basically represents the total market value of that particular sector. The larger the square, the larger the sector is in the country. Now, depending on when you are looking at this, green means it's trending up and going up in the day, while red means it's going down. Very simple. Now, you can also check investment themes for hot sectors or featured lists for stock ideas. Go to investment themes, and if let's say you are interested in the banking sector, click in and you can see the related news and even a list of companies within the banking sector. And that leads us to our third step. Choose an asset within a theme or industry to invest in. For this video, we will use stock as an example, such as Maybank from the banking sector in Malaysia. You can substitute this with any other stock from Bursa Malaysia or even the US market. The basics of a business is more or less the same regardless of the market. So here's the least fun part, fundamental analysis. And that's just a fancy way of saying do your homework to figure out if a company is worth your hard-earned money. Now, yes, it's not fun, but this is a very important step to know a company inside out, like being a detective, where you dig into the business model and financials like revenue, profits, and all those fancy financial ratios. So where do you find all this stuff? You can find it in a company's annual report. But with the Moomoo app, you get all these ready data and ratio without the need to calculate it yourself. So in the chart section, Moomoo app offers very comprehensive charting with different time frames and also even line types. For a time frame, you can choose to check the price movement within 1 day all the way to 5 years, and even max, which will show you the price movement since day 1 or even IPO. As for line type, I personally don't use this much, but this charting can be very useful for active traders to visualize trends, patterns, support, and also resistance levels. And all these are useful for predicting market direction and also finding the points where stocks tend to bounce or flip, where they make profits . So moving on to the next step, we have warrants. Yes, a warrant is like an option. Warrants are basically issued by the company, and you can buy this warrant just like how you would buy a normal stock. And once you buy the warrant, you will have the right to subscribe for new ordinary shares at a specified price during a period of time. However, if the market is moving in an unfavorable direction to you, or if buying straight from the market is cheaper, then you can just let the warrants expire without doing anything. Not trying to scare you, but just FYI, for most beginners, you will do just fine starting with regular stocks and ETFs first. The comment tab is basically where you can see all the comments from Moomoo users, and you can even contribute yourself as well. Sometimes you can even find interesting perspectives and clashing opinions from all these comments, which in my opinion is actually a good way to let you reflect whether your own opinion is biased or not. Remember, your investment thesis is heavily influenced by what you believe in, so it's always good to challenge your own thesis with others' opinion. And then we have the news tab. You can see all the news that are related to Maybank. And other than Moomoo's in-house news, they also have news from reputable sources like DH Markets, Business Today, Bernama, and many more. And this is very helpful because that means I don't have to switch to other apps like The Star or Bloomberg to look for all these news. It is all provided by the Moomoo app already for free. And beside that, there is also announcement tabs where you can find Maybank's official announcements, and even the ratings tab where you can find stock recommendations by various analysts. But as with every information, don't take them blindly because they can still be biased to a certain extent. Now, the last main tab is where you can find all the data you will ever need to do your quantitative analysis. Under the sub-tab Financials, you can find revenue estimates, analyst ratings, research, company valuation, key financials, revenue breakdown, and so many more. We'll briefly go through some of the useful ones, at least for investors like me. Inside the company valuation, you get to see PE or price to earnings ratio, PB, which is price to books ratio, and also PS, price to sales ratio, and the same for industry average. And you can even compare it to Maybank's competitor. Let me show you how. Go to compare, click on the plus button, and find the company that you want to compare against. Now, before you ask what these three ratios are for, they compare the stock's price relative to its actual earnings or value. The idea is to check whether a stock is overvalued or undervalued, like whether you are buying it overpriced or getting it on sale. Usually, we compare them against the industry average, but bear in mind, different industries have different average PE ratios due to different factors like industry-specific risk, margins, and also growth potential. And the same applies to forward PE ratios as well, which looks into the future 12 months earnings instead. Next, we have key financials like profit before tax, net profit margin, and also EPS, earnings per share. And you can even access the whole financial report over here. Then we have revenue breakdown and by business and also by market. And scrolling down, we have financial indicators, and these are the most widely used indicators when we do research on any given company. If you'd like to learn more about the indicators, you can even click here to learn more about EPS, and Moomoo also has both video and written explanation for you. And then we have the three main financial statements and the breakdown of all the major items. And moving down, you can find the major shareholders of Maybank and also the type of shareholders. So you can see here, about 53% of Maybank's share is held by mutual funds and around 18% is held by the government pension fund. And what does that tell you? Well, if a big government pension fund like EPF, who is super careful with its investments, pumps in big money into a stock like Maybank, what does it tell you? Okay, now if you scroll down, we have another important thing that investors always look for: dividends. From here, you can see this info like dividend payout history, dividend per share, record date, ex-date, and even payment date. Ex-dividend is basically the cutoff date to qualify for a dividend payout. For example, if you bought Maybank before the 12th of March, you'll receive the dividend in your Moomoo account 1 to 3 working days after the dividend payment date, which is 26 March. Now, after analyzing the stock, you can even add that into your personalized watch list to keep track of all the prices. Hit the search button and then type in the stock, like what we did earlier with Maybank, and then tap the heart icon on the top right corner, and done. It's like a shopping list for all your stocks. You can now find your watch list in the bottom left of the app, and you can even sort out the watch list according to your own preferences to keep things organized for yourself. Now, time for the fun part, buying your first stock. Search for it in your watch list or just from the search bar at the top, and then tap trade and you'll see this order screen. So if you're totally new to this, these are the regular trading hours for different markets, and unique to the US market only, they support 24-hour, 5 days a week trading, and you can do that by selecting 24-hour trading over at the session drop down list. Super handy if you just want to get your trade done anytime you want during the weekdays. And before you hit the buy button, here are some of the things you need to know first. There are many different ways to place your order. Limit order is chosen by default. Basically, it means to buy at the price you specify. Like the current price is 9 ringgit 84 cents, and if you input the price to be 9.80, the trade would only be fulfilled when the price drops to 9.80. Market order is where you buy at the current trading price, which is 9.84. Odd lot, this will be useful if you want to buy less than default 1 trading unit, which is equivalent to 100 units in Bursa, Malaysia. And this is where you set the price that you want to buy if you are using a limit order. And the next is quantity. In Malaysia, like I said, it's usually in lots of 100 shares. But if 100 shares is too much for you, you can always choose odd lot. As for the US market, you can buy as little as 1 share, and Moomoo even lets you buy fractional shares, which means you can buy less than 1 share. And then we have time in force to let you decide how long you want your order to stay open. Day means your order will expire at the end of the trading day. GTD, or short for good till date, means order will expire until the date you select, and GTC means your order will remain always open for up to 90 days until it is filled or cancelled. And then on the bottom, you can see max quantity to buy in cash, which is basically the max amount you can buy based on your current ringgit cash balance, and max quantity to buy in margin, aka the max you can buy if you take the margin loan as well. Now, finally, you can place your order by clicking the buy button, and once the trade order has been fulfilled, you'll receive notification of your trade fulfillment. And then below the buy button, you can check your position, like how many shares you have for Maybank, and in the orders tab, you can see the order that you have just made. So now that you finally own a stock, this is where you begin the monitoring phase. Go to the accounts tab and then tap assets, and you'll see your portfolio over here. Under the positions, you can see all the stocks that you have, their market value, average buying price, and also unrealized profit. It's normal to feel excited or worried when the prices move, but remember, investing is a long-term game. Don't be too worried with daily changes. And yes, check occasionally, but don't let it stress you out. Now, let me show you something. When you look at the stock price, over the short term, sometimes you see that it's red, it's going down, but look at it from the bigger picture. Look at the longer term charts, and you'll see an investment in a good company or a good index eventually will perform over the long term, so don't worry too much about it. Now, if you're ready to sell your first stock, it's very simple. Go to portfolio and then pick the stock, and then just like when you're buying, choose the order type. Limit or market usually gets the job done, and then enter the amount of shares you want and then hit sell. There are also advanced orders to manage your downside risk, especially in times of uncertainty like the US-China tariff war and you're holding, say, some US stocks, and that's where orders like stop limit comes in handy, as it can be active even while you're asleep. Basically, it needs you to input a trigger price and a sell price. For example, Apple's market price is now trading at $200 per share, and your ultimate cut loss is 10%, say $180. So you set your limit price to be $180. And when its price falls and hits the trigger price, say $190, then it will start selling your stocks between $180 to $190. Essentially, it's a downside risk management tool. Now, on the flip side, if you want to set an order for taking profit, you can do it via the limit if touch order. Same example, if Apple is trading at $200 and you want to sell it at $220, essentially a 10% profit, you can set a limit if touch order by setting trigger price to be, let's say, $210 and then limit price to be $220. Once the price hits 210, the order will be converted to limit order, and Moomoo will sell your stock at $220 or even higher. Now, I won't waste your time to explain all of this one by one, but for all intents and purposes, the limit or market order type will work flawlessly for you. And once you have sold your stock, do take note that asset settlement usually takes a couple of days before the cash is ready for withdrawal. For Malaysia, the settlement period is T+2, which means it takes 2 trading days to settle your trade. For the US market, it is T+1 instead. Now, on towards the last thing you need to know, how to withdraw your money. Head to account, transfers, tap withdraw, enter your bank details, and then follow the necessary steps to complete the withdrawal, which will usually take about 1 to 3 business days for the money to reflect in your bank account. Now, on the other hand, if you want to withdraw your fund from Cash Plus, simply click redeem and wait for 1 to 3 business days. And once the redemption amount is reflected in your Moomoo account, you are good to withdraw them. And that, my friend, is everything you need to know before you start investing your hard-earned money. Feel free to drop any questions down below and I'll try my best to answer all of them. If you want exclusive rewards, sign up with my link down below and deposit with code Z11. Until then, if you want some idea on where to begin your first investment, I recommend you to check out ETFs. I've made a full video about it, so see you over there.